Robin Malcolm wants a female Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings television series. That is a headline on this Thursday's Movie News.
Yeah, Stephen, this one is coming in from an article she did with Robin Malcolm, that is, with Stuff. You know, I've never heard of Stuff, which is quite ironic, Stephen, because I am using irony correct there, incidentally, because that's one of the most misused terms in the English language. But I don't recall her from The Lord of the Rings either, Stephen, so it's
No.
ties perfectly. She apparently played Morwen in The Two Towers. And Stephen, I digress, it doesn't matter who she played.
No.
We're speaking about her opinion on the upcoming Amazon TV show.
Yeah.
She believes, as you did say, and you alluded to in that title, that Gandalf should be female in this upcoming Amazon show. She says, those old legends, those old mystical stories, they're so based within a patriarchal landscape. Why not look at the magic of a matrilineal world where the magical powerhouses are women? I reckon the idea of Gandalf being a Kuai, I believe that is, covered in beautiful moko and tattoos would be incredible. We've got our uteruses, and back in the day there was a real sort of magic and sacredness and sort of brutality around that. We've had female Hamlets, why not? Why not, Stephen?
Oh, why? Why? Robin Malcolm has got a good imagination, I'll give her that, because she's really gave this a lot of thought, and I think she should maybe transcend those thoughts into creating her own world, similar to Lord of the Rings if you want. You can even make Gandalf, the female Gandalf, have a beard. I don't care.
Well, the dwarves were like that in the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, why not?
Imperceptible, male and female.
This seems to be a common trend, John, these days,
Yes.
where we're having to take these established characters, whether they be female or male, doesn't really matter. They're established, in storytelling and in film, and this is another classic example of shoehorning an agenda in. I get what she's trying to say here, but this is where it bugs me. This is the problem here, and it bugs a lot of people. Is there's room for new stories, there's room for creating these characters and giving them that platform. Why take an established character and change them? Why? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it.
Stephen, where do I even begin with this one?
But I'm only a white male, John, so what do I know?
Yeah, Stephen, I don't know where to begin. I've said time and again that movies and TV shows should cast a wide, diverse cast which reflects today's society. We aren't all just white males, females, whatever. There is a wide array of different people, of different colours, of different creeds, ethnicities, whatever you want to call it. We have blacks, we have Hispanics, Asian people, Indian people, Pakistani people, and I firmly believe that we should be looking to cast nice, diverse casts which reflect today's world, today's reality, and then that empowers younger people watching these shows and these movies, gives them the sense that they could one day become an actor and maybe portray a character like that on the screen. It empowers them. But Stephen, you don't do this to the detriment of one of the great literary characters of the 20th century, which is what Mithrandir, Gandalf the Grey, whatever you want to call him, is and was. I'm a big fan of Tolkien, as you know. I've read most of the man's novels. I've read The Lord of the Rings 3 times, I think. The Hobbit numerous times. Gandalf is a male, Stephen, and he was a male because J.R.R. Tolkien
Made him a male.
wrote him to be a male. Now, to change that character in any way, change his gender to female, whatever the hell you want to do with it,
It's pointless.
would be a slap in the face to J.R.R. Tolkien, one of the greatest novel writers, the literary minds of the 20th century.
You can't even form an argument to say, that Tolkien didn't give, he didn't create really good female characters.
He really did. Arwen, Galadriel.
Yeah.
The list is endless.
Yeah, exactly, and they're strong characters as well, John. Some of my favourite characters in The Lord of the Rings, the films I'm talking about, the performances of The Hobbit, this would be Evangeline Lilly, but obviously Kate Blanchett as well. Very strong characters, hold their own against their male counterparts. So it's a pointless idea, to be honest with you. But that's not to say I don't want to see strong female characters being created, but that's where the problem lies, John. I understand to a degree where she's coming from, but you're talking about creations here, that I don't know how many decades,
60, 70 years old, Stephen.
You know, why do it?
I
just don't. I can't get my head around this one, John. It just seems to be something that's just in today's society. You know, that let's change things that are already there. No, keep those things. Create new things.
Stephen, you're absolutely correct. There's this real urge and desire to make everything equal, to show that we have moved on,
John,
which we have done. And as I mentioned previously, Stephen, I'm all for equality and diverse casting choices, but you don't take pre-established characters who have also been over 50, 60 years and change them just to show, look, we have moved on as a society, we can have the balls to cast a female Gandalf. That is the wrong way to do it, Stephen. You are absolutely correct. If you want to empower female characters and empower female actresses, have more people create unique stories where they have it centred around a female character. Then we can have great actresses coming on board and portraying these characters, and it empowers female people, that's a terrible phrase, females, women, that's the word I'm looking for, to go out and write great novels with strong female protagonists. I'm sure we have a whole host of novels like that, Stephen,
and you know,
already, and they deserve to be adapted.
Exactly, and you know, and we're not going to go down the road of other YouTube channels here that, you know, are hell bent on a mindset, because I was one of the ones that was very excited for Jodie Whittaker portraying the Doctor in the Doctor Who series, because that's a different thing altogether. Because for 60 years we have had male leads in that character, but that character's an alien and can form into whatever form. So in this instance, this is a male character that was created by Tolkien as a male character, and I can't get my head around why you'd want to change that. I honestly can't.
Stephen technically isn't male. He is an Astari. He's a semi-eternal demigod sort of a creature who has been around. There is numerous Astari. Also you have Saruman, you have Radagast the Brown, you have the two other ones whose names always elude me. But they are eternal figures, so they could technically take the shape of anything. It's possible, it's within the realms of possibility to make the character female, but you'd have to change the name and whatnot, because it's not Gandalf, and it's not female because, as I did say, J.R.R. Tolkien, the great man, the great mind, made the character manifest in a male form. Now, Stephen, you can't adapt that great man's work and then change things just to suit a 21st century agenda-driven sort of a thing where it's politically correct to make this happen, and just let's show, as I did say, that we've got the balls to change things up. It's not Doctor Who.
The narrative is taking second place again here. This is the problem. This is the problem with what they're doing. They're doing it. Star Wars has already suffered because of this. They're forgetting about the narrative is the most important thing in storytelling for any film, anywhere. It doesn't matter what genre it is. The narrative is your primary goal, not the agenda you're setting, because people will see through that right away. They saw it through The Last Jedi. They'll certainly see it through this as well.
Stephen, the fact that the final thing I would add, the fact that she's essentially saying that Tolkien was in some sense some misogynistic, backward-thinking chap who based his whole stories around patriarchal concepts is utterly ridiculous, Stephen. The guy
gave her a platform back in the 2000s.
60, 70 years ago, Stephen, well, I think it was 1950s, 60s, he actually penned The Lord of the Rings. I'm not too sure of the actual timeline. I know he'd done The Hobbit first, and then The Lord of the Rings subsequently followed. They had the backbones of the actual world, the Silmarillion, unfinished tales.
That were all based on, I believe from what I saw in that film, John, I don't know how much was accurate, was the likes of the Fellowship, etc. All these experiences were his experience during, World War II, I think it was.
World War I, Stephen. The idea of fellowship and how it forms you to be a better person and whatnot.
So for her to say that, I think scandalous, to be honest with you.
Stephen, it's not just that.
I think it's ignorant as well.
It's not just that, Stephen, it's wrong as well, because there's so many powerful female characters in The Lord of the Rings.
He wrote these at a time when, we know the situation with male and females back then. He wrote this then. So I think, if anything, he was ahead of the curve.
Stephen, Eowyn, there's the final thing I'd add. Eowyn, from The Two Towers, getting into, obviously, The Return of the King. Yeah. This great female character who's been forced into a role.
But it's not Gandalf, John.
Yes, it's not Gandalf. She's been forced into a role she doesn't want, been left behind with the children and the other women. She decides, no, I want to fight with the men. That's the way I was brought up. I'm part of this Obviously the high house. And
these arguments are
Rohan.
ridiculous as well, John, because they always seem to home in on those set characters. You'll never hear someone like that saying they want to see a female Golem.
No, and they don't want a male healing.
No.
They don't want to shake things up that much. They're all for equality, Stephen, but they want to just drive things with an agenda and change one of the most renowned characters in literary history into a female just because they think it would be good. Well, no, it's not good. And I tell you what, Stephen, if it comes to pass that they do even think about changing someone like Gandalf to a female, I will not watch the show.
John, I will not be watching it anyway.
I will be away.
I've got to
Stephen,
be
it's
honest
promising though because they're pumping so much money into this show. I think it's something, it's crazy money. It's like $1 billion or something.
What can you do with it though?
If they, exactly, can it be better than the Peter Jackson retelling? I don't know.
I doubt it.
Stephen, but if they do change it to female, I will be out because I'm just not watching it. I'm a big fan of Tolkien. I think the story's one of the greatest of all time. It's second best selling, I think, in the list of all time best selling books behind the Bible.
Yeah.
You do not have to change a single creative thing in that story for any reason whatsoever. You do a straight adaptation, and this is why Christopher Tolkien and the Tolkien estate do not like to see the man's work being adapted because they shite upon it from a great height, Stephen, 9 times out of 10. But look, that is what it is. Time will tell. Let's hope she's wrong and it doesn't happen. No, they don't listen to her. Because certainly I've never heard of Morgan. I don't recall the character in the movie. It's been a while since I've read the books. Maybe she has a part to play and I've just forgotten it. But look, that is what it is. And here's hoping it's just treated with contempt. But Stephen, we will move on to the next topic. This one is all about Jeffrey Wright potentially playing Commissioner Gordon. In fact, I think he is playing Commissioner Gordon. I think it's been announced that he will indeed be the Commissioner in the Matt Reeves Batman movie. The Batman, obviously set to be led by Robert Pattinson as the new Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
Stephen, what do you make of this, first and foremost? The guy is saying, I think he's teasing, I can't even get the article to load up at the minute. He's the next Commissioner Gordon may be Westworld's Jeffrey Wright, essentially. So what do you make of this? Is this something that's continuing this sort of a theme, Stephen, from the previous topic, where we are perhaps changing traditional views of a character, preconceived notions of what a character should be? Commissioner Gordon, I believe, for the most part, in the comics was a white male character. Jeffrey Wright, clearly a person of colour.
I think this works. J.K. Simmons played.
He did.
In the Justice League.
Yeah.
So they're recasting.
Oh no. I was thinking about another thing. I was thinking about I thought you were talking about the 1990s. Did we not have a black Commissioner Gordon in the 1990s movies?
Billy D. Williams played in the 89. It was Harvey.
No, he played Harvey Two-Face.
Yeah. So.
I was about to say Harvey Keitel.
I stopped myself, John. But
Stephen, it's something that's completely different. This is a kind of shows you the difference between a Gandalf and a Commissioner Gordon. For me, I'm on board with this.
Back in '89, when we saw Tim Burton's version of Batman, no one batted an eyelid when Billy D. Williams stepped out as Harvey Two-Face. What's his second name again? I can't remember.
Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent. That's it. Because he was an accomplished actor. Didn't matter if he was black, didn't matter if he was white, didn't matter. I just didn't think that way then. No. I was just very excited to see him on the screen again. Hadn't seen him since probably Return of the Jedi. So this bit of news is fine, John. Jeffrey Wright. I do like his. I think it was Matt Reeves that actually made the tweet, wasn't it?
He tweeted Happy Batman Day from London, and then Jeffrey Wright replied with a little monocle emoji,
smiley,
essentially alluding that he could potentially be Commissioner Gordon. Now,
Why
Stephen,
not?
He's certainly got the facial hair for it,
Yes,
that's for sure.
Yeah,
he has a great beard, and if
Yeah.
he can trim that down to an utterly magnificent moustache,
Yeah.
I'm all for it. He's a very good actor, Stephen. He's been in the likes of Westworld, a great HBO show. He's also going to be in the next James Bond film, so he's a very established actor with great range, and I'm absolutely certain he'll be great in this role. And I think this is going to be a more detective-heavy movie anyway, Stephen, so I think we may see Pattinson's Bruce Wayne working in close conjunction with obviously Commissioner Gordon to perhaps bring down a variety of villains. I think we spoke, and it was rumoured that we could have the Penguin and a whole host of villains in there.
Sounds okay to me.
He's going to have a meaty role.
It's interesting, John. It does confirm it here. It says Jeffrey Wright's potential casting as Jim Gordon likely means the end of J.K. Simmons' tenure as the GCPD officer. Simmons debuted as Gordon in Zack Snyder's Justice League in a small but exciting role. I thought I was dreaming that, but I don't mind that. I do not mind that one bit. He's a good actor, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. It's I don't know what sort of role Gordon's going to have in this film. I don't know if it's going to be as meaty as Gary
Oldman.
Yeah, that's the one I was about to say. Coleman, Gary Oldman.
Seamus Coleman.
Gary, yep. Yeah. So I don't know what kind of capacity it's going to be in, John. I hope it's a big presence because I do like the character.
Well, Stephen, they do allude to it in this Cinema Blend article as well. The fact that the Batman will reportedly focus on a hero's ability as the world's greatest detective, and that it will be a rogue gallery of villains in this movie. So I think he's certainly going to need a lot of help from the Commissioner in this movie. So the Commissioner. So Jeffrey Wright will most definitely have a sizable role if he is indeed taking it on. But Stephen, the final thing I'll add before we move on to the blog rundown section of the show is, again, the contrast between my take on Gandalf and my take on this. I have completely different opinions and emotions when I hear about the concept. It's a fact, I think, Stephen, that it's traditionally a male character, and then when you make it a person of colour, it doesn't really matter, because he's male, and this is a creative vision from the creator. He decided to make the character male, not female, and there is a whole host of female characters in the comic world, in the Lord of the Rings, which you can cast and make it as powerful as you want, because it's an adaptation. You can do your own spin on the story. It doesn't have to mirror exactly what happened in the novels, but just don't change them that dramatically. It doesn't work for me, and I'd love to see this guy playing the Commissioner.
Certainly would, yeah.
But Stephen, that's going to bring us on to the blog rundown section of the show, because we have not got much more to add to that topic. What's coming in at first in this week's blog rundown?
It's Rocketman, John. This is a Blu-ray movie review by D.M. Anderson, and the film is directed by Dexter Fletcher and stars Taron Egerton, Jamie Bell, Richard Madden, Bryce Dallas Howard, Stephen Graham's in there as well. I forgot he was in there. Tate Donovan as well. So it's a whole host of stars in there, John. Dave. This is obviously, I think he did say in the review that he did go and see it in the cinema, but this is obviously the Blu-ray, which I think's just been released out here as well in the UK. So I share a lot of sentiments from Dave's review here, John. I thought the film, just like Dave does describe in this review, does start off as a bit of Scottish slang here, does kick off in a big way, and that's the scene that always sort of comes into my head, is that cul-de-sac scene, because that's when you know this is an out-and-out musical. It's not going to be like Bohemian Rhapsody in that sense of more of a sort of career progression for Freddie Mercury, in this case Elton John, or Elton John. But listen,
there's been a lot of Boris Johnson movies.
I like the way they did this film. I think it was Dave mentions as well about the music, the choice of music and the way it was segmented. They didn't play it in the sort of way it was released. You know, the hits were released. They matched the song with what was happening in the narrative, which I thought was the best thing to do, because then you've got a soundtrack there, and basically that's what it is. It's a soundtrack to Elton John's life, or that period in his life.
Absolutely was, Stephen. Listen, I love this movie. We've spoken about it previously. I really did enjoy it. It's one of my favourite movies of the year. Very entertaining. Taron Egerton was absolutely superb. He's got a great singing voice. He's sort of a trifecta actor. He can sing, he can dance, and he can do stage work. He's much like a sort of a diet version of Hugh Jackman. Well, that's perhaps doing him down slightly. He's like a Hugh Jackman pint size. Jackman's 6'2" and he's like 5'8". So
you noticed that in Eddie Eagle.
Eddie Eagle. Yeah, different heights. So he was a perfect guy to come in and play Elton John, really. You can see he's had a sort of a great bromance with Elton as well in the lead up to this movie release, and they sang with him on stage and whatnot. They've really connected, and I thought he'd done the role real justice, Stephen. He really showcased, as Dave does say, the various aspects of the guy's life. He wasn't a holier than thou angelic figure. He was a real human being. He had addictions and real issues, and there is real melancholic moments in this movie, Stephen. The Rocketman sequence where he's had a little too much to drink, he wakes up thoroughly depressed with his life. He's not happy, he has everything, decides, I'm going to kill myself, pops pills, I think, jumps in the pool, and it's almost like fantastical settings. We see him as a young boy with the, I can't recall what the hell it is, it's like a tank, diving tank thing on his head, helmet, that's the word, and it's beautiful, and there was a whole host of moments in this movie like that.
Is that the scene where he's under the water, and then when he gets sort of his stomach pumped, he's on the stretcher, and then he's wheeled in onto the stage?
It's
all like jabbed, the whole sequence is...
he gets jabbed in the neck with an injection and then thrust on, and it was a great sort of a visual representation of stardom, Stephen. They don't have time to recuperate. If they've got issues with their brain, or not brain, mental issues or whatever, maybe have issues with their brain, all those drugs. But if he's got mental issues or he's got physical ailments, then they just get put on because they're money-making sort of a cash cows, if you like.
Yeah.
And there was so many moments in this movie which I enjoyed. The singing and dancing sections, just the way it was juxtaposed from this Alcoholic Anonymous group, him going through his various points in his life. I completely agree with everything Dave says. Was it a perfect, factually correct representation of the man's life? Perhaps not. But in the context of a fantasy musical setting, thought it was wonderful. Dexter Fletcher done a wonderful job again. I've said wonderful twice in a row there. I've said it 3 times now. Did a great job standing in for, obviously, whoever the hell it was. I forget his bloody name. Jason, whatever the hell, for Rocketman, Bohemian Rhapsody. But he's obviously getting full credit for this movie. Bryan Singer, not Jason. And we'll see, Stephen, how this plays out going into the awards season. Will this do as well as Bohemian Rhapsody did? I don't know. Taron Egerton, perhaps, will he be the forgotten man this year? Because it was so far away from the Oscars ceremony. Time will tell. But look, not much more to add. Really enjoyed it. Great performances from Richard Madden and whatnot in there as well, incidentally. So yeah.
And a great review from DM Anderson, John. But we'll move on to our next review coming in from Justin Ayward. And it's Never Grow Old from 2019. This film is directed by Ivan Kavanagh and stars Emile Hirsch, John Cusack and Deborah Francois.
Francois, yes, not Mark Francois. That absolute git who's in the Tory party and is a bit of a Eurosceptic. I don't like that chap. Hopefully Deborah Francois is a much nicer soul. But Stephen, haven't seen the movie. No. It's going to be extremely difficult to give my opinion on the artistic merit of this movie. What I did though was watch the trailer to give me a sense of what's going on here, and I certainly get most of the vibes that Justin Ayward has given off in his review for this movie. Seems like a great little western movie set in the unusual locale of Ireland, incidentally, but I feel like they've managed to doubling
up,
they've managed to utilise the setting pretty well. It gives off vibes of the Midwest, lush greens, lots of rainfall. He does say there's a great line in that review, incidentally. Enough fog for Jack the Ripper to disappear in and sufficient mud for a week-long music festival. And we get that from the trailer. Looks very atmospheric, reminiscent of The Witch, incidentally, but it's really claustrophobic.
Unforgiven as well, John. But I think what I picked up from Justin's review and obviously watching the trailer, John, because I've not seen the film either, is John Cusack playing a role that he's not... Well, I've certainly not seen him playing that kind of role, you know, a very sinister type of character who really he puts the Emile Hirsch character in a sort of predicament from what I gather from the trailer. You know, he's an undertaker and basically he's dragged out in the middle of the night to obviously perform the undertaking duties before the man's even dead. John Cusack kills the man right in front of him, and
Cusack looks incredible.
It does,
He really does. I had concerns, Stephen, when I seen he was in this movie that he'd perhaps phoned it in again, because he's had a bit of a reputation in recent years of just phoning in. But according to Justin, he is really, really good. He delivers a nuanced performance, and he's just the way he slowly drip feeds the dialogue out and whatnot. He's got it in him, Stephen, to do that. He's a great actor when he wants to perform. And it looks like he's performed in this movie. I thought the setting looked incredible. It looked really authentic to the period. And there's apparently a whole host of interesting thematic things going on in the background here. Just about, I'll try and find the exact quote from Justin himself. Can't actually find it, but there's sort of a binary themes that are going through the town. You get that vibe through a whole host of westerns.
I did fear, John, when I did read the review, this was prior to me watching the trailer, when I read Justin's review in regards to where it was actually filmed and the amount of mud involved as well, I thought this is going to be like that episode of Red Dwarf Gunman of the Apocalypse, which was a very obviously low budget because it was television sci-fi, which was a western town somewhere in the south of England, and you could tell it was the south of England. It didn't look like the western at all, and that was my fears. Once I saw the trailer, John, it did look authentic. I do agree with you there.
It almost looks like a North Carolina or something like that, very lush with wooded.
Well, Buster Scruggs was like that. That was one of the things I picked out from that film, John, was the for all the chapters that were in that, it was always a different landscape, and it was all set in the West.
Well, Stephen, that's the beauty of the United States. It's such a diverse location in terms of just different landscapes. You've got barren, arid landscapes, you've got lush green, rolling plains, you've got snow, you've got everything, beaches. So look, some of the best westerns of all time were filmed in Italy. They also the spaghetti westerns. So
Yeah.
there's certainly no barrier to a good movie. Stephen, they've quoted the line he actually mentions about the themes as a quagmire of competing forces, cowardice, strength, morality and greed, peace and chaos, wealth and poverty. And I think that's something that's always prevalent at the heart of a good western movie, just this concept of new world meeting old world, the changing times in the West, where you've got the wild frontier meeting civilization. We've seen it in The Sisters Brothers, and it's just a great backdrop, a great genre to explore those themes, and by all accounts, does it very well in this movie. I have to give it a bash. As you know, big fan of westerns, and the fact that it's a local movie as well, Irish-made movie, it's all the more reason to give it a bash and maybe give this filmmaker some more cash so he can go and make more great movies. Not that he'll need it, hopefully, because if he's successful, then he'll have done enough to have a successful film career. But Steve, we'll move on that note before I start giving away incessantly.
I will finish off the show, John, with a movie review coming in from Steve Wilkins. It is 1996 Daylight, when I was 20 years old, and I think Steve was only 14 at the time.
And I was 7.
Yeah, this is a film directed by Rob Cohen and stars Sylvester Stallone, Amy Brennan, Viggo Mortensen's in there as well, and Sage Stallone as well, the late great Sage Stallone. I think this might have been, I could be wrong here, but I think this might have been one of those times, probably the once, that both father and son appeared in the same film. I know that Sage was penned in to appear in Rocky Balboa playing this he did appear in Rocky 5, didn't he? So this is his second appearance. So unfortunately that didn't happen, but I don't know if you recall this film, John, but this was around about the time when these disaster films were coming out. You had likes of Volcano was out, that one with the meteor as well. I think there was a couple that was like that actually, wasn't there?
What was the other one with
Deep
Donald
Impact.
Sutherland?
Deep Impact was out as well.
Donald Sutherland one as well?
There might have
With
been,
Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah, that was... I can't remember what it's called.
Cowboys or something?
I can't remember what it's called, but I
Perhaps
think
not.
that was a disaster film as well. Well, this one actually was, I think it was the New Jersey Tunnel, or one of them anyway.
Yeah.
There was an
Space
explosion, and it's one of these series events. There's, I think, maybe a car chase or something like that. It's been a while since I've seen the film. Explosives happen to be in the tunnel, there's a crash, and the tunnel starts to collapse within them. And Sylvester Stallone's Kit Latura, he's a former rescuer. It has some name, isn't it? I couldn't even remember his name when I read this. I went, "Are you sure that's right, Steve?" But
Kit
it is.
Latura.
A former rescuer turned taxi driver, and during a casual night, everything goes unexpectedly wrong in the New Jersey tunnels thanks to the fleeing criminals. Yes, my memory does serve me correct, John. So, it's just one of these films where everything goes wrong. They're trapped in the tunnels, and obviously the water from the Hudson's starting to seep in, and obviously time is running out for the ones. I think there's maybe about 7 or 8 of them. Some of them are really TV actors, to be honest with you, John, as I recall. Obviously, Sylvester Stallone does what he does best in these type of films, in these situations. Viggo Mortensen, this was the first film I saw him in, and I didn't like him. He was a total ass in this. I'm telling you, a total ass. I didn't like him. And
Roy Nord.
It's just annoying. It was just really annoying. I don't know if you remember this film at all, John, but
I don't seem to recall watching it, Stephen.
No.
The actual premise for the movie seems to ring a bell, but I just can't remember watching it. So I'm going to sway to the side of perhaps not having seen it. But just based on your actual opinion of the movie, it seems like one that I have to go back and watch. It surprises me I've not seen it, because I've seen a lot of the classic Stallone movies.
Well, Steve does say, and I think, he says Daylight is a great popcorn flick, well worth the time. I agree with that.
Sounds
It's
like a
one of
Stallone
these...
movie, really.
Exactly, John. It's like Lock Up, if you've seen that. It's like Tango and Cash. Don't take it too seriously. You will have a lot of fun watching it, but don't take it too seriously. This was round about the time, I think this was probably one of his sort of last best films of the 1990s, to be honest with you, John. It was just after that period where he was doing terrible films like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, and Oscar was another one. So this was a kind of return to form. That's kind of standard anyway, where it was a return to form for those action films that we remember him in. I liked the film. I've got to be honest, I thought it was enjoyable for its duration. Sage Stallone's actually very good in it as well, as I recall. He plays an ex-con. He's no relation to Kit Latura in this film at all, but he makes his presence, and as we know, obviously he sadly passed away a few years ago, John, which was very sad because everything I saw him in, I thought he was very good.
Yeah, Steve, it's always sad when a person loses their son, a father loses his son before he's obviously at his times to go. That's something you should never have to do, bury your own child, so that was tragic. And as you did say, I seem to recall him in the 2006 Balboa film, and he was a very good actor. So it's a shame what happened to him. But again, I can't really add much to this movie in terms of artistic merit because I actually haven't seen it myself.
You know,
I can recall of. But look, Viggo Mortensen, an incredible actor.
Not in this, he's not.
Yeah,
he's cheesy as
anything.
anything.
Oh, is he cheesy in it? Oh well, then perhaps not. Maybe he was still refining his craft at this point.
So, yeah.
He's turned into a wonderful actor.
He certainly has, yeah.
Time's been good to Viggo, but perhaps not so good.
If you've got that, if one of your fears is drowning, John, it's a very uncomfortable watch.
They say that on the actual poster, hold your breath. So against, we've seen so many movies
I hate
like
films
that,
like that because they're always under the water more than they should be, humanly possible.
That was like The Command we spoke about recently, Steve, in that movie. I think it was Kursk it was called over here or something. And they're forced to go into the water and go and hold their breath for 2 minutes.
That's my worst nightmare, got to be honest.
2 minutes to hold your breath and get some oxygen capsules. So yeah, it's something I wouldn't do. I'd be a complete coward. I'd die coward's death and I'd drown like a bitch. So I'm not Stallone. But look, I'll have to give it a bash, Stephen. It sounds like a great action movie from a bygone era.
I've got it in VHS somewhere, John, but I don't think you've got a VCR, so...
I've not got a VCR anymore, Stephen. Sadly, I've got an Xbox One with a Blu-ray
I'll not
player
fit
built
in there,
into
unfortunately.
it. Sadly, won't fit in there. I did give up VCRs probably about 20 years ago.
Give up, yeah.
20 years ago or so, Stephen. But yes, and that's going to round up the show because I've not got much more to add. As I say, without repeating myself, I haven't seen the movie, but I will give it a bash. Once again, thanks to Steve for another good review. What did you guys make of the two topics we spoke about outside of the blog rundown section? Do you think Gandalf should be female in the Lord of the Rings series from Amazon? What do you make about Jeffrey Wright potentially starring as Commissioner Gordon in the new Batman Matt Reeves movie? If you get anything to say about it, comment below and let us know what your thoughts were. If you get anything to say about the reviews as well, we can comment below and all. I know, that's a slang word as well. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. And me and Stephen will be back tomorrow with the Force Friday show.